Spanish Facebook.
Bueno.
I'm gonna have to figure out what end stream is in Spanish before the end of this. Oh, video interruption. Okay. Well, hopefully we're good. That seems like it's working. Hey, everybody.
All right,
there we are. Church chat today, and I have inadvertently made my Facebook completely in Spanish. I don't know how to fix it, so if anyone speaks Spanish, I might need some help later.
No bueno.
But for now, here we are with our church chat theme.
Church chat with Pastors Dan and Dave. Come hang out with us on our stream. It's Church Chat Wednesday.
Welcome to Church Chat, everybody. I'm Pastor Dan.
And I'm Pastor Dave.
And that is L. James Adkinso.
Jimmy Song and Dance.
My mic was actually off while I was doing all that talking, too, because I was so flustered.
James has somehow, in the process of getting us to go live, turned his Facebook into Spanish and has no idea how to change it back.
Not only do I have no idea how to change it back, I don't even know how I changed it in the first place, so I'm clueless.
I have no idea how to do that. Well, and now, you have to go through Spanish menus to be able to get back.
Exactly, yeah.
I think it was anonymous.
But
it could be anonymous.
We are currently Vivo on Facebook.
We are Vivo on Facebook. That's great. There used to be a thing on Facebook. This was early on. I don't know. Maybe you could still do it. I remember this in college where you could make it change the language to pirate.
Oh yeah,
I have never heard of that.
Yeah, it called videos bewitched pictures and all sorts of other ridiculous things like that. It was
because National Pirate Day was a thing for a little while.
Right, National Pirate Day was a thing. This is height of Pirates of the Caribbean and all of these things. It was very, very popular to be a pirate.
Yeah. I had youth around that time who were into that stuff.
Totally into being a pirate.
Yep, are you?
Yeah. It's do you remember the VeggieTales, the pirates who don't do anything?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's when it jumped the shark. It's you know what, being a pirate's not that cool anymore.
There are certain, there are certain animated shows that I think I liked more than my kids.
VeggieTales one of them?
VeggieTales is one of them. The Adventures of Flapjack was another one.
Okay. I don't think I ever saw that.
Mildly inappropriate, but it was funny.
Okay.
And Chowder. You ever see Chowder?
No.
Yeah. There was just certain ones that I liked. I think I liked them more than my kids liked them.
It's probably true. I'm probably the same way. I remember watching, VeggieTales is supposed to be made for, little kids. And we'd watch it at youth group. It's just what we I don't know. We just throw that in. Anyway, we are glad that you are with us here today on Church Chat. This is, again, something that we've been doing while we've not been able to be together. However, this Sunday, we are going to be starting in-person services again at St. Mark's. Hopefully you've seen some of those messages. Lots of social distancing rules, just a couple of things. You can see it on our Facebook page. But a couple things to know. Both services will be in the dock. It's just easier to clean because it's all hard surfaces and don't have to worry about elevators and stairs and all those things. You can just walk right in. We'll have it all socially distanced out. If you want to wear a mask, please feel free to wear a mask. If you don't, you don't have to. But we're going to do everything we can to make it as sanitary as possible. We've got all sorts of cleaning supplies and things like that. We'll have a team of people who will wipe stuff down in between services. If you don't feel comfortable coming back yet, or if you are sick or radioactive or anything, please feel free to stay home. And we will be live streaming at least one, possibly two of the services. Possibly. We're going to figure it out. We'll figure it out. Some way there will be something online for you. And so if you don't feel like you're ready to come back yet, you'll be able to do it that way.
Now, I did see if you have a cough, don't come.
Yes.
But I've been coughing for 52 years.
Yeah.
So should I come or?
Well, don't cough on me.
All right.
I feel like right now, anytime someone coughs, everybody looks at them like they have a gun. And they're like, you're trying to kill me.
I have a
you?
confession that there's been a few times we've been in the grocery store and my wife's been perturbed because someone's just a little too close.
Yeah.
And she'll whisper to me. So I give up and boom.
And they leave.
It's like,
That's right.
It's like parting the Red Sea.
Yeah. I mean, they just run away.
Yes.
Yeah. I've noticed myself doing that. Like, I see somebody coughing and I'm like, you're trying to kill me. Why are you trying to kill me? What did I ever do to you? Why you got to cough like that? So anyway, we're going to be back this Sunday. And please help us with the social distancing thing. Our ability to to be able to go back will depend on our ability to follow these guidelines as well as we can. If it's like we're not able to do that, then we'll have to figure something else out. But yeah. I believe in you, and I think it'll be a good thing for us to be able to be back. I know it's not going to be exactly the same.
I'm really looking forward to seeing some faces, though.
Oh, yeah, it'll be awesome.
Really am.
Yeah, it'll be great to see you guys. And, we're a couple other things. We'll have music. We're going to discourage congregational singing, but sometimes, I mean, James is just so good. How you gonna not sing along, right? So I get it. If that's something that's hard, we're just trying not to like spew particles on people and stuff like that. So just try to be mindful of one another, and I think we'll all be fine. But yes, it'll be good to be back.
Maybe people could have like a hanky.
Yeah.
Or maybe a mask or whatever.
Yeah.
Just kind of put it up.
Yeah.
If they feel the need.
Yeah. Sing into your elbow. No.
I've heard that's good acoustics.
So we've got a really interesting church chat guest today, and this is going to be. I don't know how we can not have some conversation about the state of what's going on in the nation right now.
Let's talk about where this came from.
Yeah, go ahead.
How we ended up here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Craig Kupferberg is
yes.
He is a pretty well-known guy in town. He was at one time he was the principal at Findlay High School, and I think he at one point was even Liberty Benton. He was the assistant superintendent for Findlay City Schools, and then he did another stint as principal again. Very beloved principal at that school, but he also has a fantastic story. He was Jewish. He was born and raised Jewish in the Chicago area, in a Jewish community, and then at some point he went through a conversion and converted. I guess it was a long process, and so it's interesting. So I asked him to come on the show and describe his conversion, and then today he called me and just asked if I could do a favor for him. Apparently there's somebody named David Dorn who was a policeman in the St. Louis area that did a lot to turn troubled youth around, but I guess in these protests he was murdered. It was captured on Facebook. And so Craig is currently downtown. Like when we call him, he'll be downtown, across the street from the protesters, with a sign with David Dorn's name on it. And he's not in opposition to the protesters. That's not why he's there. He's there to help mirror, but also bring attention to David Dorn. So we have no idea where this conversation
we don't know where it's going to
go. But Craig is a great guy. He's been on a mission trip with our youth, and I just appreciate him. He's been a neighbor of mine for years and years. So somehow we'll get a story that'll be
right. And look, we do our very best to not get political or anything like that. I don't think that's why anybody of the tens of you who are watching tune in to hear our thoughts on politics, and except for that last sermon series we did. But
and I don't think that's to like skate any issues. I think it's just we're choosing the side of Jesus.
Yeah, we choose the side of Jesus, and we also know where our expertise starts and where it stops.
Right. Exactly.
And it's that's not our thing. Our thing is, talking about Jesus, but Jesus spoke into situations that were also encompassed by politics and the events of the day and all of those kind of things. So whenever we're talking about a topic that's a little bit touchier, we're always like, well, this will be our last one, I guess, because we're probably getting fired today,
Yes.
but we're going to try not to get fired. And yeah, again, not to skate the issue, but just say here's just what is, and we want to talk about Jesus and where we see Jesus, where we see not only Jesus in this, but where we think maybe Jesus wants us to be in the middle of these conversations and these issues. And so that's what we're going to try to do today. But
Right.
Yeah.
And Craig's our guest. We don't script these things out, and Craig's our guest, so we'll to see where he takes us, I guess.
yeah, it'll be fine.
Buckle up.
So I know that you and I and everybody has been kind of watching as things have unfolded in the nation. I'm sure everybody has their own thoughts and opinions. I don't think there's anybody that doesn't. Well, I don't want to say there's not anybody, but the huge vast majority of people are mourning the death of George Floyd, as are we. And, that just seeing that it awakens something in the conscience of America, especially around the black community, and systematic, oppression that they have felt and experienced. I said in a Facebook post the other day, it's like, I know that I don't understand, because I don't understand how that must feel. I want to try to know more. I want to try to learn more. I want to try to hear more, but I know that I can't put myself necessarily in their shoes. I've just not experienced the same things that they have experienced. So, then there's been a lot of, questions about, protest versus rioting that ends up happening and those kind of things. And I think a part of what I want to say is, no, I think that, rioting, I don't like it. I think that that's a bad thing. However, again, I don't know how angry I would feel, if that's where I was. So I'm trying to kind of pull myself back from it and not just lump groups of people together and say all these people are good or all these people are bad, because I think that there's nuance to all of this. And again, I know I'm not an expert on any of it. It's just kind of what I've been seeing and experiencing. So, and I think that everybody feeling like they're an expert on everything is not necessarily helpful to the conversation. I wish we could all say a little bit more clearly, I don't know, and I don't understand.
And
get your Rona off me.
I wish we'd shut up a little bit.
Yeah.
I actually deactivated my Facebook account out of frustration yesterday. We all don't need to chime in as experts.
Yeah.
And I don't mean this to be harsh, but when you live in a community that's 99% white, perhaps it'd be better to listen, I think. As I said last week, I grew up in Akron. Some of my oldest friends are people of color, and some of my relatives are African American. And for me to speak out, this feels.
Yeah.
I saw it says, I understand that I don't understand, but I stand with you.
Yeah.
And I was telling you, I just remember shortly after high school, I dated a black girl, and just some of the things that people would say to me, and the opinions that they would say of her, because she was dating a white guy, and some of the stuff that we had got. There's just like, what do you say?
Yeah.
Like, people are mad at me because I'm dating you.
Yeah.
How do you, So I think we'd be in a good place if we just all took some time to listen. And we saw that Officer White was downtown. He actually helped a lot with our fifth quarters when we used to do them. He loved the kids. And I saw him down at the protest, and it looked like in the pictures he got pretty emotional, hugging people, and then we have somebody say, well, that's not social distancing. I mean, can we all just be quiet for a little bit?
Yeah.
And let's take a break. Let's figure this out. And what I'd like, if you're going to spew anything, let's see what kind of life change this brings about.
Right.
And most importantly, ask Jesus for that change, that transformation. Because, look at how we've talked over the weeks of the transforming power of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
If you're really that interested in what is going on, how about you start with you and ask for deep transformation and reflection?
Yeah. And so a couple things here, and you say that I think of. I agree that I think it's time for us to maybe just listen for a while. On the flip side of that, I also don't want to be silent. The church, and I know that by our positions, we're representatives of the church just by being pastors. Every Christian is, but we kind of get the title. And the church has been silent in the face. Throughout history, the church has done a historically poor job oftentimes, and was silent when they needed to not be. I'm hearing the Skype music.
We have our guest calling in.
All
here,
right.
So let me pull him on. All right, let me get him on the NDI right here. There we go.
I apologize, I'm late.
Hey, you're fine. You're fine. Welcome to Church Chat. I'm Dan, and I'm
Thank you.
Here with your neighbor Dave.
Hi, Craig.
Awesome. Hi, Dave.
Good to see you.
I'm out enjoying the wonderful weather.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, here's the thing. We talked, Dan and I were just talking, and I know we had originally asked you to come on and maybe talk about your conversion story. But then I also know you have some other things on your heart today. So we don't know exactly where to go with this. What is it you feel like talking about today?
I'm an open book. Whatever you think your audience would be willing to listen to, we could talk about both. If that's okay.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
So,
I do know, Craig, we'll need you to speak up a little bit more, though.
a little bit louder?
Yeah.
There you
Okay.
go. That sounds
There you go.
All right.
So,
I used to be a coach, so I should be good at that.
well, why don't you go ahead and just start a little bit with your conversion story? I'd love to hear that.
Okay, well, one, I don't call it a conversion story. I call it a completion story. But that's okay. Most people refer to it as a conversion. Because I don't believe I converted to a new faith or a new religion. I see it as a completion of the Jewish belief. In that I found my Messiah, where your traditional Jew is still looking for the Messiah. So that's just semantics. That's not what's important. But the story behind it is rather a long one. It started when I actually was in high school. I had a good friend of mine that started witnessing to me about Jesus, which would have been extremely unusual where I grew up, because I grew up in an area of the suburb of Chicago that was about 90% Jewish. Um, it was the suburb itself wasn't, but the neighborhood that I grew up was. And practically all of my friends were Jewish, except for two. And the one that was witnessing to me was one of the two that was not. And he witnessed to me throughout high school, and in college, I started dating a young lady who continued that, and we dated for quite some time. As a matter of fact, we were engaged at one point, but that did not work out. And part of my college experience, I was at Illinois State University, and my father accepted a position at the University of Cincinnati. And I'm sorry, I'm fighting the wind out here.
It's okay.
So I apologize for that. My father accepted a position at the University of Cincinnati, and I ended up going there for my third year of college. And met a gentleman by the name of Michael Wolf. One of the things that was really holding up my completion was that God made me Jewish, and God made me Jewish for a reason. And Jews didn't believe that Jesus is the Messiah, and that God wanted me to believe that Jesus was the Messiah. He wouldn't have made me Jewish, which seemed to make a lot of sense to me at the time. But Michael Wolf was a Messianic rabbi who came to the University of Cincinnati quite often, and he would witness the students out on the bridge outside the student union. And I would come out and just listen to him, because I had never heard of, let alone met, someone who was Jewish and professing Jesus as the Messiah. And I guess he noticed that I'd be out there listening to what he had to say, and he came up to me and he asked me if I knew Jesus as my Messiah. Well, first he asked me if I was Jewish. I said yes. Then he asked me if I knew Jesus as my Messiah. And I looked at him, and the thought that went through my head is, if I tell him that I haven't, I'm not going to really be shown and told the true message here. So I lied to the man, and I said that I had, and he invited me to a Bible study. And I thought, oh, good, I'll go to this Bible study and I'll get the real stuff. They won't hold back. So I went to the Bible study, and they approached me through no fault of their own. All the fault was mine from a standpoint where I wasn't. And went to the Bible study, and it really didn't make much sense to me, and I kind of wrote it off. And I only spent the 1 year at the University of Cincinnati. And I ended up going back to Illinois State. Well, we fast forward about 3 years or longer, and now I'm a first-year teacher at King's High School. And I met a young lady by the name of Becky, who is now my wife, who started witnessing to me again. And I started seeing a pattern here. And her mom had heard about this Messianic congregation in Cincinnati and suggested that Becky take me to this congregation. So it was a Friday night, and we're headed down into Cincinnati to go to a synagogue, and I'm telling my wife, Becky, what it's going to be like to be at a synagogue. Because I didn't think it would be, I didn't really hear or understand the Messianic part. I just heard synagogue. And I told her, a lot of this is going to be in Hebrew, and you're not going to understand a lot of what's going on, and there's certain points where you need to stand up and then sit down and just follow my lead, and we'll be fine. So we parked the car, and we start walking up to this Messianic congregation. And the rabbi is Michael Wolf, the same gentleman at the University of Cincinnati. And this is about 4 years later. And I'm walking up the sidewalk, and all of a sudden I see him there, and I didn't recognize him because I really hadn't given him much of a thought since then. But he recognized me and he goes, Craig Kupferberg, I've been praying for you for 4 years.
Wow.
And I just started sweating. My eyes must have been the size of silver dollars, and I just started sweating. We go into the synagogue and sit down, and it's like nothing I've ever experienced. There were drums and guitars and singing and standing and waving of hands and dancing in the aisles, and I sat there the entire time on my hands sweating, wondering what in the world I got myself into. And my girlfriend at the time, wife now, is having a great time. She's loving it. And she's joining them, dancing in the aisle and everything else. And I'm just sitting there scared to death about the whole thing. So then they started witnessing to me from a place where I could better understand. And we really got into what really drove it home for me, actually, was the 77s in Daniel. And the predictions of the fall of the temple, and a lot of the reading around that. And during one of those Bible studies, and with my wife, my girlfriend, and my wife, I confessed and came to completion, accepted Jesus into my life. But it was actually about a 10-year process from the time that my friend in high school started.
Wow.
I'm on the phone right now. I'll talk to you a little bit later. Okay? I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I was invited across the street. But when we get to this part, that's really not my point either.
Yeah.
So I don't think they understand why I'm over. I think a lot of people don't understand why I'm over here, but that's okay.
Yeah. Well, why don't you?
Sometimes a little confusion in life is a good thing. It gets people to think and research.
Well, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about why you're there today, and just kind of what some of the things are that you're experiencing.
Okay. Well, where I'm at today, here, I'll turn this around, is I'm out on South Main Street. Whoops. If I could do my... And across the street is the courthouse with the protest. Peaceful, very orderly, very peaceful protests. A lot of Black Lives Matters signs, justice for all. I can't breathe. No justice, no peace. There was one that I really like, protect innocent black men the way you protect guilty white men on trials and things like that. And where I'm at is actually on the other side of the street. I don't oppose their message. I don't completely support their message. The reason I'm on the other side is because with any story, particularly this one, there's more than one side to a story. And I'm here trying to get people to think about the other side of the story. And what led me to do this is I'm holding up a sign, and I'll show it to you. Let me put it on my bench. It simply says, does that work? Yeah. David Dorn, and it has a thin blue line around it. Hopefully you got that. And who David Dorn was a police officer in St. Louis who worked his way up from a patrol officer to a captain. And he not only dedicated his life to protecting and serving the people and community of St. Louis, but on his own time spent a huge amount of time supporting and uplifting underprivileged youth. He also happened to be black. He retired at the rank of captain for St. Louis and then became a police chief of a nearby community. He had a friend that owned a pawn shop on Martin Luther King Jr. Drive. And he went out to check on and protect that pawn shop for his friend, where he was gunned down and killed. And he was gunned down and killed live on Facebook. And they kept that Facebook feed running until he couldn't breathe anymore. And the irony and the message behind that and all these other protests and riots and looting that's going on struck me very, very, very strongly. And although we all know George Floyd's name and what happened to him, and we should, it didn't seem like anybody knows who David Dorn is, his story and what happened to him. The people that brutally murdered him are still free. The police do not know who they are. So I'm out here in support of David Dorn and trying to get people just to see his name. And what I hope is they get confused and are curious enough about this that they'll Google his name and find out even more about it. So that's what I'm dedicating today to. And I hope it doesn't rain. Otherwise I'm going to get very, very wet.
Well, we appreciate you taking some time to share your story and to share David's story. Dave, did you have anything you wanted to follow up with?
You know, how?
Yeah, we really just appreciate you and being able to share what's on your heart, and wish you all the best out there, and we hope that it doesn't rain on you.
Thank you. Well, if it does, it'll be the Lord washing
There you go.
the sins off of me as well. So
There you go.
I'll be okay with that.
There you go.
I just don't want my sign to get wet.
Gotcha. All right. Well, thanks a lot. We appreciate it. Take care.
Take care.
Yep. Take care. Thank you.
Yeah, like part of me wanted to back up and like, oh, so did you get any guff from your family about, but now we've moved on to something so much more important that it's like there's no backtracking.
Yeah. That's very, so here's what I appreciate. I think I agree, we've got to know, it's good to know George Floyd's name, and it's good to know David Dorn's name. And I think, what I appreciate is that he sees nuance to all of this. That there's always more. It's not all of these are bad and all of these are good. There's hurt everywhere. And what I would say is that I think all of this just breaks the heart of God. I think this just breaks Jesus's heart. And I don't think, I think any life lost in any way like this is just tragic. And I think Jesus is weeping with us in the midst of all of this. I was telling you guys the story before we started today of I was, I think, 7 when the Rodney King LA race riots began. 7 years old, right? And so I didn't understand what was going on, but I'm sure I saw things on the news or whatever about, whenever my parents were watching that or something. My dad would, when he would tuck us boys into bed at night, we always wanted him to come up and to sing a song or something before we'd go to sleep, and he would do that, and it was just always some goofy little song, where are you tonight, or something, like that. But sometimes he'd sing, church songs. And I remember one song he would sing was, Jesus loves little children, right? Jesus loves little children, all the children of the world, red and yellow, black and white, they are precious in his sight. Jesus loves little children of the world. And, beautiful, beautiful song, beautiful message. My dad would like to try to be funny and make us laugh in some way, and so he would change lyrics to songs just to make us laugh. And I remember him singing that one, saying, red and yellow, black and white, put them together and watch them fight. And I remember understanding that was true as a small child. Jesus loves all of us. We don't seem to like each other. Like we stink at that, apparently, and that is a reality. And having that knowledge at a young age, like, to me, I don't know, I'm still, like, I just realized today that I understood that to be true when I was 7. And unfortunately, I would say that my 7-year-old probably would understand that to be true. I hope that someday her children or her grandchildren would never understand that to be true.
It's funny. We were given reflections, and I reflect. I was born in the '60s, went to start school in the '70s, and in Akron, that was a time of forced integration. And if you don't know what that is, what they did was a lot of the schools that were primarily black, they shut them down, and they would bus kids all over the city, and the hope was to try and make schools 50-50 racial. It did utterly. It didn't work, but some good things came out of that, and I'll get to that. But my brothers and sisters were 6, 7, 8 years older than me, so they were in high school when I was in grade school, and the riots were so bad that they made national news. My high school that I ended up going to made national news. It was closed down for like 2 weeks. So, but as my age group got older, it became a thing of so much more acceptance. And then flash forward, I remember my kids being in grade school, and they were talking about one of their classmates, and it said the kid in the red shirt, and I'm like, there's like 5 kids in the red shirt. What? You mean the black kid? And they were, Dad, you can't say that. So I do think that
Right.
we're far from where we need to be, far from where we need to be. But I do think particularly this generation looks at it differently.
This generation does seem to look at it differently.
And I just flash back to like my brothers and sisters' generation.
Yeah.
And it was like, even for my generation, it was weird because you'd play sports with the kid, with all these kids, and you'd be great friends with them, but none of them lived in your neighborhood, which was weird. Or sometimes they wouldn't be welcome in your neighborhood, and that was usually by parents and that kind of thing. So it is weird. But
I do think the arc of history is bending towards justice. Yeah, we're not there. Hopefully each generation takes a step closer.
And you talked about speaking out about justice, and I do want to clarify that I totally agree. Yeah. There's a time, particularly if you're a man of faith, that you need to speak out, or a person of faith, I should say, that you need to speak out for justice, for sure. But just to be clear, where I'm coming from is everybody shouting. Yeah. Everybody is just, and so that's what I meant by, No, I agree. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Right.
And so, bringing it back to our area of expertise, what among the many things I love about Jesus, I love his example that he set. That, I mean, he called a Samaritan good, right? I mean, that didn't happen. He was very good at saying, you've categorized these people as bad. I'm telling you that they are children of God, and that they are precious in my sight. And so I hope that every day I'm moving towards having a heart like Jesus. And you said something earlier that I thought is incredibly important. Systemic change needs to happen, and I know that. I'll just be honest, I don't know how to make systemic change happen on my own. What I do know is that every system is made up of people, and nothing changes people like Jesus Christ. And so for me, for the best change possible to happen, life change needs to happen within us. Mm-hmm. And when life change happens within us, and our hearts are molded and shaped to be more like Jesus, I think the world becomes a better place. Mm. So that's what I know that I need to do, among many other things, self-reflection and taking action whenever I have the opportunity to take action, to speak out against any form of injustice or oppression that I see. But the most important thing I think I can do is help people develop deep relationship with Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. That's, to me, what changes the world. So.
And I think what the most important thing I can do for myself is focus on the one.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the greatest commandment? Love your God with all your heart and soul. And Jesus, in the same breath, mm-hmm. said, and love your neighbor as yourself. I mean, just about every religion mm-hmm. says, hey, love your neighbor. But yeah. Jesus takes it even farther and says, love your neighbor as yourself. And that would solve everything. Those two things. We don't need 10 commandments. We don't need 600
we need
and some
that.
commandments.
It's 1A and 1B.
Yes. And
yep.
if we could every day commit ourselves to just that, putting that in practice every day, it makes you so much more of a patient person. Mm-hmm. Even when it's stupid stuff like, hey, go right ahead, go in front of me in line, or whatever. But I think if we could just personally focus on those two things as leaders of the church, that's what I can do for self-change. Mm-hmm. And project that out, like you said, as we're leading others to Christ. Mm-hmm.
And, I also want to make sure that I'm aware enough of myself that if I'm doing something that's bringing harm to someone else, that I don't realize I'm bringing harm to somebody else, and somebody calls me on it, I don't want to be defensive. And I need to be open to hearing what someone else thinks. I was thinking about this today. I never want to be a person who makes someone else's life worse. I don't want to be somebody who makes someone else's life worse. Like, it'd be better, my life would be better if Dan wasn't here. And so and there's areas that I might not even see that I need to be willing to change when it's pointed out in me. So let's see. We solved all the world's problems.
Yeah.
I think racism's over now.
Yeah, for sure.
Good job. And any forms of oppression or anything like that have been dealt with. So great. We did. And did we keep our jobs?
Facebook will run perfectly.
You'll know tomorrow.
We'll know tomorrow. But Yeah. We appreciate you being with us. James, do you have a song for us?
James has a
Pick up your
It's
guitar.
not a song exactly.
Okay.
Hold on, I'll turn my camera on.
It's not
Are
the
you guys ready
Oh. Yeah,
are we
I think
closing right
we're
now?
ready. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
it's not the
I had-
Tallahatchie Bridge song. is it?
No, it's not.
Today is Tallahatchie Bridge Day.
I'll do that on a different stream. But no, I was just gonna say I got a suggestion that we should end with the theme as well.
Oh, go
So-
for it.
All right, you
Well,
guys ready
wait,
to
before
end?
you- before you get to
close
that-
it. You gotta close it out.
Yeah, before you get to that, let's close this out. Again, we will see you in person Sunday if you're feeling up to coming. We would love to have you. Again, both services in the dock, same standard church times, 9 and 11:15. We'll stream at least one of those or attempt to. So if you're not able to come or just don't feel comfortable coming or you're sick or whatever, please stay home and feel free to watch the stream there. Also check out today, Corinne will be posting, if she has not yet already, Spark Online for the kids, and hope that you guys will enjoy that. And yeah, it's good to see you today, buddy.
Yeah.
And glad you were with us. Jimmy, close us out.
This was Church Chat with Pastors Dan and Dave. Thanks for hanging with us on our stream this Church Chat Wednesday.
I know. Who
Beautiful.
prompted you to do that?
So multi-talented. Oh my gosh. See you guys later.
All right,
Bye.
bye everybody. Final Lazar video on Vivo.